Hello everybody, I'm Alfred, and I would like to talk about the incidents in the New York restaurants where an African American lady was denied service, because she didn't have the vax passport or any proof of vaccination. Now, BLM, has taken it up, as this is racial discrimination. Now, my question is it now BLM that is going to save Christians, and is it now them that is going to end up saving the church from this vax mandates? But let us see how things go, because this is a big conflict of interest in many ways, because the globalists and the people who funded BLM have been using BLM for their evil ends. There was once upon a time that Malcolm X said, and Malcolm X is not somebody that I respect for obvious reasons. He is somebody who was basically a racist. If you hate white people, you are just as racist as the Ku Klux Klan, at least the early Ku Klux Klan folks. Racism goes both ways. There's no such thing as reverse racism. If you hate someone because of the color of their skin, that is what you are. There's a huge difference between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Huge difference. I love Malcolm X Jr. and all that he, at least what I know he stood for and what he did. It was great. He's not somebody I consider a role model. As a Christian, the only role model that we have is Christ. We can admire people and learn from people, but we cannot have human role models. That is putting your trust in man, and that is walking in the counsel of foolishness. Don't do that. Why would you follow someone else when you can follow the good shepherd? When you can listen to advice from the Holy Spirit, why would you listen to advice from a pastor? You see, it is true that the Holy Spirit too would speak through the pastor. But you see, when you grow up, you have to understand that that is not the original design. That is why Jesus said in that day you will need nobody to teach you anything. You will not need any man to teach you anything. When you have the Holy Spirit, so when you have the greater and you can follow the greater, why follow the lesser? So in Christianity, we only have Christ as our role model. Anything else is you going the wrong way, and you will end up in an unfortunate direction. But you see, when it comes to what Malcolm X said, he said that the difference between the liberal and the Republican is that the liberals, just use race and, rights for African Americans as a way to just fight against the other group of white people that they don't like, which is the Republican side. But based on what he said that the Republican side are just straightforward with their disappreciation for or dislike for African Americans. That was his view. But one thing that holds true is that there is this, let us use this as a tool for my own ends. And that is common in politics, not just on this issue, on many issues. Politicians will take advantage of anything. That is why politicians kiss babies. I mean, who in their right minds wakes up one morning and sees strangers' babies and starts picking them and kissing them? But politicians like doing crazy things like that. You see, it doesn't make sense, but it endears them to people who who seem to think that actually makes sense. It is an obvious, pretentious show of concern for the people. It is so obvious, so it is quite sad. But politicians do it, and that is something that it seems that so far it might not yet soon stop. But in any case, BLM has been used by the left, and that is basically what their purpose seems to be. But now that there's a cross purposes, the left wants to push vaccine mandates, and the globalists want to push vaccine mandates, and yet their baby they are using to exploit people and say, oh, if you don't stand for what you believe, you are racist. Their key organization that is helping them with that is against the vax mandate. So there is now this conflict. And this is also what's happened with the death of George Floyd. The death of George Floyd sparked a series of riots that hampered the plan of the lockdown. Because understand that there was a set plan that is still on of lockdowns and all the new phases. They will say, oh, by this date it is going to be phase this, by this date it's going to be phase this. How do they know how the virus is going to move? How do they know that at this point that this is when you should, on this so and so date, the virus is going to wait till so and so date, and this is when you should move from this stage to this stage, this is going to be stage this is going to be stage that? How do they know? Because this is a plan. It is about a plan of world domination and control. That is what it is about. It has nothing to do with the virus itself. It has nothing to do with helping or saving anybody from any pandemic. This is just a pandemic. But that being said, this is going to be interesting. Now my question is, are Christians and the church going to sit back and wait for BLM to save them? If BLM saves the church, then BLM will control what is going to be left of the church. But that being said, what is the church going to stand for? What is the church going to be about? How disgraceful is this? Why is it that Christians, the church never gets socially active? The church are the first and the easiest people to bully. When the church has any stance or any belief, you bully them on homosexuality, they run and cover. You bully them on prayer in schools, they run and take cover. You bully them on anything that you want. The Christians are always there to be bullied. And there will be always pastors and leaders who will protect the bullies. And as they are doing so, in that brief period, those pastors and leaders will be uplifted by the word. But later, they also will be pushed back against. And yet, the pastors and leaders don't even think about it. And I'm talking about these pastors and leaders who serve the world, not God. But that being said, those of us who love the Lord, as this is a period where God is separating the wheat from the chaff, we must learn to be politically active and have our own political voice. It is a shame that the gays can control politicians and say politicians do this and they will do it. At least the illusion of that has been created because, it is just the globalists using certain movements like the LGBT to push forth their will, which has a bigger goal and a bigger plan. The same people that give to LGBT are the same people who have made this provision for the Taliban to have so many weapons, which they will now use and kill all the LGBT people and attack, with the aim of killing the Christians also in Afghanistan. And, this is the interesting thing about the reality of government and those behind governments who are actually pulling all kinds of string. Thanks to all these organizations that are manned by unelected officials, like the UN and the World Economic Forum that tells politicians what to do. Like recently, Buhari, the president of Nigeria, went, to New York to receive instructions on how to rule his own country. And, information have come out that really, if the US did not support Buhari would have never won. The US picks out who is going to be the leaders in certain nations. If somebody else wins, they are going to use the media and call that person a terrorist and call that person opposition and oh, that person is oppressing the people. But you will see other nations like, mostly Arab nations that cooperate with certain US governors. They will commit more atrocities, greater atrocities to their own people, but the US will keep silence. You see, so you have to understand that, and it is a matter of the people behind the scenes who have the control, the true deep state, which controls the U.S. government, and that is why this is. That being said, Christians, we need to stand up and take serious action and take political power. Check out alfred.vip for more.